Disaster readiness and risk reduction. We are Group Volcan. Our topic are volcanic hazard. But before we proceed to volcanic hazard, let us discuss the disaster readiness and risk reduction. Disaster readiness is the process we use to mitigate, prepare, respond, and recover from disasters. It's how we save lives, protect property, and make sure the day after a disaster is better than the day before. Disaster readiness, also known as emergency management, is a four-step process. The first is mitigation. This includes assessing your risk and taking steps to prevent or reduce the severity of an emergency. Second is preparedness. This is getting ready for an emergency, including making a kit, making plans, learning skills, and practicing. The third is response. Once a disaster strikes, you have to respond to save lives, prevent the disaster from spreading, protect property, and possibly evacuate. The last one is recovery. After the disaster is over, it's time to pack up. But disaster readiness doesn't end with recovery. It's important to learn from what happened and use this information to begin the cycle again. The cycle process lets us constantly improve and be safer in the future.
Hello, I am Charles Edward de VERA, your reporter for this topic. And today, we will be discussing the risk reduction on volcano hazards. So what is risk reduction? The risk reduction is a risk management technique to decrease the financial effect of a loss. There are four important steps on decreasing the risk on volcano hazards. The first step on how to decrease the risk of volcanic hazard is monitoring the volcano's condition so people can prepare the important needs for volcanic eruptions. For example, is to bring enough clothes and ready-to-eat cans to the evacuation center. The second step is to predict the movement of the tectonic plates of the volcano. Making evacuation plans is made possible by knowing when a volcano is likely to erupt. For the third step is to protect yourself into ashfall. Put a wet cloth on your mouth and nose to prevent ashfall from entering your lungs. And the last step on reducing risk on volcano hazard is planning. One of the best ways to reduce the risk of a volcanic eruption is to have an evacuation plan. This comprises planning for emergency food and shelter supplies as well as evacuation procedures. And this is our topic ends. Again, I am Charles Edward de VERA, your reporter for this topic.
A volcanic hazard refers to any potentially dangerous volcanic process that puts human lives, livelihoods, or infrastructure at risk of harm. Several hazards may affect the area around the volcano, such as lava flows, pyroclastic flows, and landslide, or debris avalanche. Volcanic activity also produces hazards that can affect areas far from the volcano, such as tempera or ashfalls, release of gas, and tsunamis. Such hazard can impact areas hundreds of thousands of kilometers from the volcano, which the potential for significant health and economic impacts. Even though volcanoes can be dangerous, there are lots of reasons why people live alongside them. There can be emotional, social, and economic benefits for those living alongside volcanoes. Knowing about volcanic hazards is just one way that people can reduce their risks. Tempera and ashfalls, volcanic produce, are typically named according to class, particle size, which can range from meters down or microns in size. Tempera is used as the catch-all term to describe all erupted glass regardless of size, while term of ash describe particles of less than 2 mm in size.